We warn you, the video may be hard to watch. This is 19-year-old Daquan Powell from Yonkers, New York, just north of New York City. His life came to a tragic end late last month. Watch as video shows a man in a hooded sweatshirt lurking around on the side of a street for a couple minutes before Daquan pulls up in a black car. As someone exits the car from the passenger side, the man in the black sweatshirt runs up to the driver's side window and opens fire. Daquan was rushed to the hospital, but ultimately died from his injuries. Police say the gunman was this man, 20-year-old Matthew Quinones from nearby Danbury, Connecticut, who was arrested this week. Cops say this was all gang-related, which isn't surprising given the state of our country. Research has proven gang violence is inextricably linked with poverty and easy access to guns, two things that are way too common in America in 2023. There are literally more guns than people in America, while 23% of Black Americans live below the poverty line. That number doesn't include the working poor, people who are living paycheck to paycheck, the majority of Americans, in the richest country in the world. This video of Daquan's shocking execution is literal proof of the deadly mixture of winner-take-all capitalism and easy access to guns. The alleged gunman has been charged with second-degree murder.
Oh man, unfortunately, like Angie said from Notice News, this is just another typical day in America where kids is being killed by gun violence. You got to be 21 years old. I know where I'm at. You got to be 21 years old to get a gun. How is these 18, 19 and under getting better guns than I'm able to have access to? Some of the stuff I be seeing and I can't even report it, and I'll be looking like, bro, are you serious? These little motherfuckers had something like this? But rest in peace to his soul, man. And hopefully, the person that did this, that's about to go to jail, hopefully when he sit his ass down in there, he get a life awakening, you know what I'm saying?
As a parent, I do certainly understand the hatred behind the statements wishing to see me spend the rest of my life behind bars.
Who knew that the angels in white could be so evil? Today we're covering 3 nurses who went to trial for their heinous crimes. Number 3. Nathan Sutherland. A terrible crime took place in Phoenix, Arizona. In 2018, in a long-term care facility called the Hacienda Healthcare Facility, staff discovered something inexplicable.
Phoenix 911.
Oh, the baby's turning blue! Baby's turning blue!
Okay, where are you at?
Baby on TV!
What is the address, ma'am?
Baby's turning blue! Baby's turning blue!
What's the emergency?
Someone just had a baby. One of our patients just had a baby, and we had no idea she was pregnant.
The mother in question was a 29-year-old incapacitated woman who had lived in the hospital since she was 3. Locked in a vegetative state, she cannot speak and only has the ability to move her limbs, head, and neck. So there's only one explanation for how she'd get pregnant. Enter Nathan Sutherland, a licensed practical nurse who had cared for the victim hundreds of times from 2012 to 2018 when he repeatedly raped the disabled woman.
He sexually abused a woman who couldn't even speak for herself and impregnated her and continued to go to work every single day knowing what he did.
The horrific crime raised questions about how both the crime and the pregnancy went undetected by the staff who were supposed to monitor the victim around the clock.
I can't believe it at all. I can't believe that somebody would bathe her daily for 9 months and never know that she wasn't having a period, that she wasn't growing in her midsection, that nurses weren't keeping track of weights. Those things are shocking to me.
Were bed checks happening when you were there?
Sporadically. I know that people at night, they'd get lazy about doing them. Too many entrances, too many opportunities. Anybody could have come in.
Were these other doors locked? Did you need a key card?
Nope.
In a lawsuit against the state of Arizona, the family alleged the facility ignored the patient's family's request for female-only caretakers, a request which stemmed from a sexual abuse the victim allegedly faced from male staff back in 2002. A month after the patient had given birth to the boy, Sutherland was arrested and fired, and he gave up his license.
The pain, the damages, my refusal to forgive my biological mom has done to others through me. I didn't realize I was capable of such evil, disturbing act. To the victim, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve to be hurt. No matter what was going on in my personal life and the demons I was fighting, I had no rights to put you through that.
Sutherland entered a plea deal and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison, lifelong probation, and registration as a sex offender. Number 2.
But this guy is sick. How do you even come to even want to do something like that? Like if you went to doing disturbing things like that with things that don't speak, you know they got dolls out here, right? You could have been tearing the shit up out of a doll, but doing this to a human flesh, to someone who is in that type of state, mentally and everything, you just, life in prison, that's all I can say.
Do you have any comments? Are there more children involved? What about the families of the victims?
Every parent's worst nightmare became true in Madison, Wisconsin. 9 infants in the neonatal intensive care unit in the Meritor Hospital suffered at the hands of Christopher Capham, a nurse who'd been working the night shift for 14 years. Under the cover of darkness, Capham would physically abuse the premature newborns between March 2017 and February 2018. Their injuries included bruises, broken bones, and skull fractures. When investigations about the abuse led to the former nurse, he was suspended along with his license. In court, he pleaded guilty to 19 felony counts, including child abuse and child neglect.
The anguish I have caused is something no parent should ever have to endure. You have suffered enough. I will continue to pray that children grow up happy and healthy. As a parent, I do certainly understand the hatred behind the statements wishing to see me spend the rest of my life behind bars.
With the number of infants that I've cared for over my time as a registered nurse in the NICU, it's difficult for me to remember each.
After his emotional statement, here's what the judge had to say.
You are good parents. This is not your fault. I'm basing this sentence on your inability to say anything other than I can't remember when asked to give details about what you did to each of these children.
The disgraced former nurse revealed no motives for his action. He was sentenced to 13 years in prison with an additional 7 years of extended supervision. Number 1.
Now this guy right here is, oh shit, man. Like my whole body just tweaked thinking about him. And I'm trying to keep it cool and calm right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep it cool and calm. My body just tweaked. You know. But all I gotta say is 13 years. Then they gave him additional 7. But they didn't say life in prison. Because that is very disturbing what you did. And like she said, I don't even want to know none of the details of that. Because this sick bastard right here.
Supervision. Number 1. Elizabeth Wetlaufer.
What is the difference between right and wrong?
Elizabeth Wetlaufer was a registered nurse in Ontario, Canada. She always seemed pleasant, wearing colorful clothes and beaming with energy.
She seemed to be quite proud of being a nurse, you know.
But underneath the unassuming personality lied an incredibly troubled person.
Little temper tantrums, you know, like if she didn't get something her own way. Just her vibe. There was something not there, something off.
It started in 2007 when she began her night shift work at Crescent Care, a long-term care facility. One of her patients, James Silcox, suddenly passed away.
At 6 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call that my father's gone. They found him in bed, gone. That's it.
He was believed to have died of a heart attack, so no autopsy was performed. And then more unexplained deaths followed. Meanwhile, colleagues of Wetlaufer noticed that she was dealing with substance abuse and alcoholism, seeing her passed out in the basement of the facility at one point. Her online poetry exposed her innermost thoughts.
She watches some life drain from the notch in his neck vein. As it soothingly pools, it smothers her pain. Sweet stiletto so sharp, craves another cut.
After multiple suspensions for, quote, medication-related errors, Wetlaufer was fired in 2014 when she allegedly gave a patient the wrong medication. She worked at different care homes and facilities where death also followed. It was when she checked herself into rehab where she confessed to horrific crimes that she was reported and convinced to go to the police. And she did in 2016.
I felt horrible. I felt angry at myself.
Wetlaufer confessed to killing 8 patients by injecting them with insulin and attempting to kill 6 others, most of whom had died from complications. She referred to her urge to kill as a red surge and believed her anger and frustration about the job led to the murders.
Part of me had started to believe that it was the devil, and part of me thought it might be God. And then the laughter afterwards, which was really, it was like a cackling from the pit of hell, if that makes sense. What can you say to him? that would matter. I'm sorry isn't enough. I should have gotten help sooner.
She was formally charged with the 8 murders, 4 counts of attempted murder, and 2 counts of aggravated assault. During Wettlaufer's trial, her only surviving victim, Beverly Bertram, speaks her mind.
I don't understand why she was bound, bent, and determined to kill me. We as the victims are not weak. We need care, and that doesn't mean we don't matter anymore.
Arpad Horwath Jr., the son of one of Wettlaufer's victims, can't hold back his tears.
I don't have my father anymore. I miss him. I really miss him a lot. Every goddamn day. He'd be here today if it wasn't for the goddamn incompetence of people. Just incompetence, gross incompetence, worrying about what people are going to say about them, worried about getting in trouble, worried about how much it costs. Human life doesn't have a cost, Commissioner.
Wettlaufer apologized to the families in court. As one of the worst serial killers in Canadian history, he was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole for 25 years.
Now, in Canada, they don't play. You know what I'm saying? Canada, they don't play. They done messed around and gave her, you know what I'm saying, what she deserved. These other 2 idiots that we saw that were very disturbing as well, they should have got what she did, what she got in Canada, just because, you know, man, how could you even come to even think about doing something like that? I mean, I just find that to be so messed up that people in this world, man, like, how could you do something? There's some really messed up people in this world. Like, I'm just sitting here thinking how messed up people really are.